Nah, bagaimana situasi di medan perang di Ukraina sekarang dan apa skenario ke depan untuk mencapai perdamaian? Nah, inilah hal yang akan dijawab oleh Presiden Zelensky dan FPCI sebagai suatu komunitas yang berdedikasi pada perdamaian internasional, sangat berkehormatan untuk dapat menjadi host untuk pidato Presiden Zelensky yang pertama kalinya untuk menyapa publik di Indonesia dan juga untuk kawasan Asia Tenggara. Dan acara hari ini diikuti oleh peserta lebih dari 79 negara, ya, dari Singapura ke Kuwait, dari India ke Haiti, dari Fiji ke Laos, dari Polandia ke Rwanda, dari Meksiko hingga Romania, dan berbagai negara lainnya. Dan saya juga ingin menyapa para pemirsa yang juga menonton acara ini di Metro TV. Ya. Sudah hadir bersama kita Presiden Zelensky bergabung langsung live dari Ukraina dan beliau baru menjabat sebagai presiden pada tahun 2019 dan umurnya baru menginjak 44 tahun dan dalam usia yang sangat muda ini beliau telah menjadi perhatian dunia karena kepemimpinannya yang sangat inspiratif dalam menghadapi situasi genting peperangan di Ukraina dan juga dalam memimpin rakyat Ukraina untuk melawan aksi invasi dan agresi yang dilaksanakan oleh Rusia. Presiden Zelensky, Dobry den, jak sprawy, witayu was ze Indonezji. Thank you for joining us, and I would like now to invite you to deliver your speech. And as usually on this kind of occasion, I wear a suit, but this time in solidarity, empathy, and sympathy for your fight, I am also wearing a T-shirt just like you. President Zelensky, the microphone is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your support for this warm beginning. Oh, dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm thankful, first of all, for this possibility of addressing you today for this communication that we are going to have. And I hope it will bring closer the understanding of how to prevent the development of crisis of scale in many regions worldwide, because the world is really on the brink of several crises at once. My country, Ukraine, is one of the biggest and most reliable foodstuff exporters. We are exporting tens of million tons of grains and other agri-produce a year, and our producers ensure Ukraine stands high in the world top of world wheat, vegetable oil and corn exporters. Meanwhile, for the fourth month, the Ukrainian exports have been blocked because of the full-scale war unleashed by Russia against our state. Russia has cut access to our ports on the Black Sea and occupied part of Azov Sea shoreline. Because of this military blockade, most of traditional Ukrainian trade routes have been blocked. And at the moment, there are 22 million tons of grains sitting in silos in Ukraine. We cannot send them for the international markets where they exactly are needed this time. And it is already palpable and feeling that the prices for grains and cereals, also for other foodstuff, can see catastrophic spikes. And some countries, traditional exporters of foodstuff, already have to make decisions to cut the exports of certain agri-produce in order to prevent domestic prices from spiking and protecting domestic consumption. According to UN estimates, some 40 to 50 million people may additionally face the prospect of hunger this year. And I think this is quite a conservative estimate. Meanwhile, hunger never comes alone. It also brings with itself political chaos, further deterioration of situation, ruins social life, and creates definitely difficult and dangerous conditions for ordinary people. already in July, when many countries will see their stocks from the previous year depleted, it will become obviously clear that the catastrophe is coming closer. You can check your prices at stores. You will see them increasing, which is a harbinger of certain detrimental effect to people if nothing changes. This is a harbinger of destitution for those already poor and further misery for middle class. And this may bring political chaos in certain regions of the world. And this is just one aspect of the what and how the war unleashed by Russia is affecting the whole world. And there are many more such aspects besides the chaos and the hunger. The very fact of sea blockade of Ukraine by Russia is nonetheless destabilizing for peaceful cohabitation in the world. This is not just an act of aggression of one country against another. This seaport blockade is a certain training for our potential aggressors who want to subjugate the neighbors or take over the territories. If Russia is successful in going unpunished through that in its war against Ukraine, then other countries will see that sea blockade is supposedly admissible instruments of exerting pressure in the modern world, which will mean that no trade route, no country will be able to feel safe. Then there is a third aspect, the very nature of the war waged by the Russian nation against us. Since the beginning of war in 24th of February, the Russian army has used 2,389 missiles of different types against Ukraine. Absolute majority of them would hit civil infrastructure, enterprises, warehouses, food stores and food houses, residential buildings, and even the railroad. We are working on measures to alleviate the food crisis. We try to find new routes. We want to supply the world market with our grains using the railroad, and we will do it via European ports. Definitely the scope of the export will be less than by the Black Sea, but even these our attempts, Russia tries to cut short, destroying our railway stations, logistical hubs, railroad bridges. Hundreds of Ukrainian cities, towns, and townships have been completely ruined by Russian air and artillery strikes. And now these are just ruins, the black, scorched, empty cities. For 3 months, Russian military planes have appeared in our skies for more than 3,200 times, and there is no facility or object that they would not bomb. More than 600 of healthcare institutions, hospitals, maternity houses, outpatient departments have been destroyed. They also destroyed nearly 2,000 education institutions, from universities to schools to kindergartens. Different regions of Ukraine see dozens of religious objects like churches, mosques, and other religious places, either burned or damaged by Russian shelling. Just yesterday, Kharkiv, one of our cities, saw 9 people die because of Russian artillery strike. Among them was a 5-month-old child and her father. The body of the infant, the father was carrying her in his hands, was thrown by the explosion on the roofing on the building entrance, and it was even hard to find her body. The mother was heavily wounded. This is the daily realities our country have to live through from 24th of February. And this is the story that has started long ago. Back in 2014, Russia took our Crimean Peninsula and started the war on Donbass into regions of our countries. 8 years later, Moscow decided to launch an onslaught against the whole of our state. And the Russian government thinks that Ukraine has to be a colony of Russia.